After Buzzers, welcome to the Expanse After Show. We're talking about episode 8, It Reaches Out. We get more Miller, we have an explosion. Did Holden really make that message? Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome. It's the Expanse After Show, episode 8, season 3, It Reaches Out. My name is Kari Lane, and I have all my panelists here today. Welcome back, Rick.
Hello, Rick Hong here. Hi, guys.
Hey, it's me, Cherry. Hi.
Yay!
Hi, Rick.
So first of all, thank you so much to all of you who leave comments on our videos. You guys are amazing super fans and some really good suggestions on things. I apologize, last time is Delta V, not 5, but Roman numerals, hey, what, you know.
Yeah.
And then also we mentioned a thing with a certain character, and they make the crack noise, which made me say tooth, but it's actually glands in their mouth, which we'll get to. But yeah, appreciate all your comments. If you're watching this live, we do have a live chat. Please join us. And if you're watching it later, please comment down below. All right, initial thoughts on this episode. Rick, what do you think?
Well, you know from last season that I was always constantly in denial that Miller, Tom Jane, was still alive in some form, and I know he was teased last episode, but we thought maybe it could have been a hallucination, maybe just like one little brief, but now he's back in some weird form, don't know what yet, so I'm very happy.
Yeah. Cherry, what do you think?
I'm very happy. I'm fascinated by Drummer and how she's dealing with being in command, as well as her relationship that's progressing with Naomi. So I'm very curious about what's going on with his ship.
Oh, yeah, right. This episode was definitely very exciting. I apologize last time for saying so many times I've read some of the books. But in reading, I'm excited that it's catching up.
Too. I mean, you're very educated with the show, and that's okay.
But yeah, this one, it's been exciting for things to line up. So right away at the beginning, we have the UN fleet, UNN, just fast to say UN. But they are watching the EK ship footage with Mario Espinosa, Mario? I'm like, now I'm saying it wrong. I'm like, I wrote my notes, I read them all fast. But they're all watching that footage and everyone's reactions to it. And Anna is kind of that nice figure there of keeping this group on that ship like, hey, let's all not be fools and let's calm down. Because they're like, it's a weapon.
Right.
Rah! Just freaking out. But rightfully so. It is like shocking footage. What did you think of that on that episode when those like that look of that splat?
It's interesting because, I mean, like, and later on there's another gruesome-esque, we'll get to later.
Yes.
But I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, it's interesting that we're watching this on Syfy. Because back in the 80s, stuff like that, that scene where his body is, that's like an R rating. For like movies like back in the 80s, not nowadays.
Right.
So it's actually pretty amazing to be able to see that. And I was like, wow, this season, The Expanse has gotten really gruesome with like
Space is brutal, man.
Yeah, remember like the proto-model, well, Katoa wasn't quite, I mean, he was evolving.
It was pretty intense with Katoa, for sure.
Like he was evolving into the proto-molecule monster and he like tore up that body.
Oh, that was so good.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's getting real bloody, but it's great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're on Syfy, so I mean.
They're also allowing more swearing on Syfy now, too, which is cool.
Space is dangerous.
Right. So, as you said, Holden now sees Miller again. We know this is not just that, like, one thing. And he's kind of, like, trying to pep himself up of, like, talking in the mirror. All right, am I going crazy? And then...
Even though, like, Miller's, like, just still talking kind of gibberish to him, so he can't make sense of, like, why are you here? Am I losing my mind because you're talking gibberish?
Yes, but I think it's also the intelligence is trying to learn English and figure out how to communicate with the humans, because he'd said they kind of look at him as someone able to have a ship to move, and they look at him as a communicator. I don't think they think of people as people, per se.
True. They broke down, I think it was with Katoa, it was saying, like, they talk about, they don't talk about human beings as, like, entities the same way.
It's just kind of like a computer,
Yeah.
It just,
parts.
it's just like, just parts, exactly.
Alex and Amos are seeing that same footage of the rock hopper and everything, and Holden makes a comment, like, it never ends, and Monica, the interviewer, is like, well, what do you mean? What do you think he was referring to?
It's just a madness, just a craziness. Just when you thought that everything was like kind of settled for everybody, like everybody was like, there's no threats of like war or anything going on, or people are at least working into it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we got some crazy suicide kamikaze dude doing something, and maybe he's gonna start a whole nother issue between everybody. So that's the way that I interpret it. I don't know about you.
Sure.
Sherry.
I think it's because he just wants to have a moment where he can sit and still and sort of go and sort of like think about it. Naomi left, so that kind of put a big hole in his heart or his head.
Sure.
Because she was his Jiminy Cricket. And also they thought that the ring would just be sort of inert for a while and they could sort of deal with their lawsuit. And it's like they've got the lawsuit. The alien creatures are still coming around. I mean, there's a lot on their plate.
Well, we also got the Alex pointing out, like, is this fate? Were they all meant to be here at this time? Which is a whole other kind of way to think about it. Over on the Behemoth, they're kind of like, okay, well, what's our plan? Ashford, Drummer, and Naomi are talking. Drummer kind of is lamenting about the struggles of being in charge, which I think she's doing a good job, though. Like, she's been second in command, or first in command, I guess, for a while now. So now it's her job. But do we think, like she does, that Ashford wants control of the ship?
Yes, I think he wants it. I think that's why he does a little like backstabby, demeaning, sexist, and then he reminds her that she's younger. And I think at one time he was her boss or something.
Right.
And he's trying to play little games where he's insinuating that Fred and Anderson have come up with some sort of secret deal that she's not aware of.
I mean, even like when he like first came onto the ship, he kind of had that swagger of like, hey, I'm here. As opposed to it's like, hi, hey, oh, hi, like, thank you for letting me aboard type thing.
Well, he later is singing a song that starts with "If I Had a Ship," and I was like, I don't trust you. So please leave a comment down below. How much do you trust Ashford? Comment, let us know. And then if you're in the chat, let us know. How much do you trust him? Do we think he's gonna like try to take over, or is he gonna just slowly undermine Drummer such to the point that she can't be in command anymore?
Just slightly off topic. How well do we think that David Strathairn is doing the Belter?
Oh, he's great. I love his accent. He's so in it.
Because he's such a good actor outside of this, and I'm used to him like almost never doing accents other than an American accent. I don't think I've even seen him in a movie with a British accent. So to see him do Belter. Like this, I have to kind of dissect and listen because like Dominique Tipper, like Naomi, like boom,
her belter's going up.
Oh my god, she's like right back in it.
Yep.
I was like, what happened to that English accent?
Well, you know what though? It's like people, if you're from a country that's an accent, you go away, and when you come back, or you're talking to your family or friends and stuff like that.
So Curly Toot in the chat is saying he's playing the long game.
Ah, I agree.
I Am Alien said no.
Yeah, don't trust him. Then they're talking about, there's kind of a quick moment, but Drummer and Naomi are talking about how, like, Fred is wanting essentially a Belter nation, but Drummer feels that's almost a little naive to think of it that way, but Naomi's like, it's possible, but it'll take time. Do we feel like there could be a more organized Belter nation?
But isn't that what Fred always wanted?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't think it's like a new revelation.
No, but it's interesting. Drummer's still, like, poking at that. Like, I don't believe in it.
I don't think she believes in it because she's just on the belt and she's had negative interactions with the inner worlds.
Yeah.
But I think that from the position where Fred was when he used to be a senior army or military person, I think he understands and believes in organization. So I believe they can be equal. It'll take a while, but they have a ship, they have weapons. They're going to have their protomolecule. They're going to force them to be equal with everyone else.
I mean, and plus the other issue, too, with the Belters is that it's always like people on Earth have always kind of been organized. Because I guess our planets. People on Earth have always been organized. People on Mars have always been organized, the Martians. Yeah. But the Belters are like, there's always like issues with them getting on the same page, getting organized that we've seen throughout the seasons. Yeah. So I can see her kind of skepticism about the one Belter nation or...
Yeah. The real quick on the Rosie, we have Holden and, we have the Millers just talking where Monica is like, okay, we need more info. I need more honesty. And her side comment, we're going to get so many awards. How many of you, and what did you both think? How much do we not trust her then in the moment of like, oh, I mean, before I was already skeptical of them, but how much we're just like, oh, you don't really care.
Well, I think Monica is motivated by her wanting to win, I don't know, a Nobel Peace
Fame,
Prize or whatever,
recognition,
fame,
yeah.
whatever. Cohen, I think, is part of some conspiracy with, I'm going to go off topic a little bit,
Sure.
with Melba.
Okay.
I think they are
Oh, you think
working
they're
with
convinced,
someone,
okay.
yeah. And I almost wonder if it's the same people that was funding the government overthrow on Earth, or are they some sort of
New organization.
proto-molecule hybrid people or something? But I don't think it's just them being individuals.
Well, it is definitely a surprising coincidence that he does something to the Rosie, getting a little bit ahead, but he's removing that kind of like that data chip piece, and then they have issues, and also there's the explosion, so it's like,
No, it's the same thing for her. I mean, she was already crossing the line last time by saying, by propositioning Amos. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
back
it's
to
just like, how
Monica.
professional
Yeah.
is she really?
Yeah,
She's more
totally.
of like, in this Me
Yeah.
Too movement, it's like she's not really the
Hey,
right candidate for.
it's a honey trap. They both did it. That's how some people get stories.
it's true. But we kind of mentioned Melba, so she stuffs Ren's body, which is kind of just like, I know he's dead, which is sad he's dead,
Oh.
but just like destroying the body of shoving it in.
In the face,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what I'm
like
saying.
crunch.
That's like
Yes.
R-rated back in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's why they put like that's like what do you call it? Friday the 13th type got to give it an R rating. But nowadays it's like oh, that's okay.
Oh, violent! No, we don't care about violence here. It's just sex and nudity and stuff.
Yeah,
we
that's
go,
true. And the
no.
F word. That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Back, over Ashford, though, a moment that we didn't get to just yet was they're doing the toast of one, no turning back, into the rock hopper. And how much do we feel Naomi was how much of an optimist before? Because now she's the super optimist. I mean, on the Rosie, she kind of was, but I feel she's like, guys, we can make everything work out. Before, I felt she was voice of reason rather than pure optimist. She was an optimistic realist before, and now she's like pure optimist.
See, I think it's not so much she's an optimist, so much as when she was on the Rossi, she saw how they were able to work with the Martians, able to work with the Inners, and all come together. It's just getting people to talk and making them see why it's beneficial for them. But someone on the chat, I'm going to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
I Am Alien says, maybe Ashford is the Belter version of Aaron Wright.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
That's an interesting comparison.
Yes.
Maybe, but I feel he's better at it. If he is like Aaron Wright, he's doing a better job. Aaron Wright, like, automatically, right? I don't trust you. Ashford has this weird, like, but I don't know if it's the actor, because I'm like, I kind of like you. I like that actor, but I'm like, how much do I trust you? I don't know. It's a little bit
They're both great actors.
We kind of touched upon, Amos catches the camera op guy, Cohen, messing around, and he's a bit suspicious.
That guy's just creepy though too. The whole just how he
Hand.
just how he even navigates through the ship, walking through
Yeah.
it and doing his
Yeah.
thing. It's just creepy in general.
Yeah.
So even if I was just hanging out somewhere, I'd still be like, dude, you're creepy.
Yeah.
I'd be suspicious all the time.
I'd be suspicious of him, and I like how Amos is like, I don't care if you're blind. A, I'm not hooking up with you, and B, if I catch you up here again, I'm going to knock you out. So go on about your business.
I'll give you the treadmill so you can walk continuously. That was great.
Yes.
Poor
Quality.
Holden, when he's doing the self-diagnostic test and everything, he's freaking out. Everything's normal. How many of you got nervous when we did the proto-molecule test?
No, I mean he's the leader.
Oh, yeah?
He's,
Okay.
he's the leader. There's no way.
He did it
I mean,
35 times, though. 35.
Although they did kill Mittler, so
Yeah.
I mean, in some retrospect,
Yeah.
but it's but
Yeah,
it's but Holden's the leader. You can't
He's
do
the
that.
leader.
But it was like, I was a little nervous. I'm like, wait, what does that mean?
Well, I was thinking he might be a little bit infected with the
Right,
proto-molecule, but not enough where he'd turn into a hybrid, because it feels like you have to do something to make it do as
Grow.
much. Yeah. And it's in the ship. They still haven't found it in the ship.
No. Well, back when it was on the other UN ship, if it touched you, it's like a zombie, like Rick was saying too. It's like once you're touched, you're done.
And I feel like we would have more than a mental version of the protomolecule. We would have more visually seen an infection first.
Yeah.
as opposed to like him hallucinating. That's why I didn't believe it as
No.
many times as he was checking himself. But clearly there's something up.
Maybe
Yeah.
he's breathed it in or something.
Miller's back again, and he keeps saying doors and corners and clear the room. Any suspicions on what that means? I mean, we kind of know what it is a little bit later, but did you have any inklings on what you thought it meant when you saw that?
I was just like,
Because
gibberish.
it's right. It's totally like.
gibberish.
But how much do we love him making fun of the hat? He's like, "What is with that hat? I know
the
this can't be."
Well, I mean, because like the thing with the hat though too is because like he had a bad haircut. He had that weird mohawk.
Yeah,
type
that's a way to
thing.
hide it.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had that bad haircut before he
Yeah.
like, became one with the or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, he keeps trying to talk to him, and it definitely is like bizarre trying to talk to whatever this is, and he says, "You're dead." So, Cherry, you already kind of said what you think it is, sort of what Miller is, if it's really Miller. Rick, what are you thinking Miller is?
I think
this
Miller
thing.
Miller must be some version of like an apparition that's connected to the ring.
Okay.
And that's why he's there. So that's what I, like I mean if the ring didn't exist and they were farther away from it, like there'd be no Miller.
Right.
But because they're so close to it, that's
Yeah.
why Miller's being or whatever. It's kind of like I don't know. I guess it's kind of like the the Obi-Wan Yoda type thing coming back from the dead, except this one's not as wise. Or so far, Miller's not as wise, or
Yeah.
at least he's more Yoda-esque,
Yeah.
very cryptic.
I couldn't figure out if Miller is tangible or not. Because
Right,
when
he
went
goes to touch him, and he's
he was
like,
like, don't touch
"Nope."
me.
He's all, "Yep."
So I'm wondering
don't touch
maybe
me.
he is proto-molecule, and if he did touch him, then Holden would become infected, and that's why he was like, you can't touch me.
That's a good question. What are your thoughts on what in this Miller thing is? Leave comments down below if you've read the books. Don't get ahead. But yeah, what do you think it is? Because it's interesting. Yes.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Okay,
No
this is going to
spoilers.
be girly, but Anne Vinci, ADNCY, was saying she loves your she or he loves your summer haircut.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just if you all remember, I had long brown hair to like down here, and it's off, and it's like blue green.
And Curly Toot says this was the episode that most book readers are waiting for. Sorry, I have to talk about the
Yes.
book.
No, that's fine.
No, we we can talk about the book. The show is based on a book, but we won't like reiterate same information. Yes.
Dion Andress says, I think Miller is a type of drone put forth by the ring.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, that's clever.
But then this leads to the best.
Dion Andress, I disagree with you, but okay. Anyways.
Well, that's a good way to explain it because they talk about the humans sending in like drones to check out the ring, and it makes kind of sense that if the ring is a intelligent thing to send Miller as a drone as well.
I figured it out. This
Yes.
is what it is. This is how it was lurking in my mind because I was like I'm doing the wrong thing by comparing it to Star Wars. It's a little bit like 2001 with David, or 2010 when David shows back up after he's been like gone.
Yeah.
So like I think that's more of what it is. Is that like the monolith and David are, and so in this one, same thing. It's the ring and Miller.
Interesting. But we get the best moment. Amos sees Holden yelling at nothing. And he's like, well, I'm not much help, but I don't judge. Love that. And even Holden's like, well, that's not the greatest description, but it's a good point.
Yeah, he tells him like don't break the coffee maker.
Yeah.
Again.
And then he watches the footage, though. Holden's smart. Like, that's a good way. Like, do I see it? But similar to ghosts or other non-normal human things, doesn't show up on footage. So, yeah, but it was smart. I'm glad Holden tried to check that. Popping over to the Prince, Thomas Prince, we have the religious kind of gathering dinner. Anna sees and tries to go comfort Melba, who in a previous scene obviously is very shaken up by murdering this man, and we don't know if she, I would say from that we could infer she doesn't, that's not a normal thing she does. She's not like, I'm gonna kill somebody.
Or is it like a maybe like kind of like a Incredible Hulk-esque type thing where when she transforms and then when she's back she's like, wait, what just happened?
She remembers.
No, I think it's a self-defense thing because in terms of this person knew too much and she doesn't have enough time to like plan a way around it. And so yes, thank you so much for people leaving comments before. It's a gland thing in her mouth, which they describe much more in detail in the book. But I like the show how it does kind of a click noise and she's doing something that you're like, oh, what is going on? And yeah, she kind of gets these superpowers. But as we saw, she passes out. So maybe it's a little bit more like, then it comes back and it affects her, which shows how, human she is and remorseful.
Well,
which
she
is
hulks out.
conflict.
Like like the Hulk
Yeah.
when, and then when they transform them, they go back to being a person.
But
that
I
kinda
think
fade
she's
out.
still in control when
Yes.
she's doing it. But it is one of those, she doesn't feel the remorse when she's doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Douglas in the chat says, by now I think Melba is definitely under duress. She's conflicted about her actions, but she wholeheartedly hates Holden. Yes, she don't like
Yes.
Holden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely, we'll get to that.
Yeah, she's like narcissist. Yeah. Keep
Yeah.
going.
So we have the next big, crazy, kind of big thing, too, that's going a little bit. The camera guy is watching. Oh, that was an interesting, cool way to show footage on the ship for us, the viewer, to see him watching Holden talk to Monica. And also, that's when he's kind of talking about, like, Naomi not being there anymore, and Alex and Amos, when they're worried about Holden talking to himself. But that's also when we see him break in and replace the data chip. And then back to Alex and Amos, they're just worried about Holden. But I don't, Rick, you were kind of talking about it, but do you think how Holden was talking with Monica, he's like, do you feel it's his brain manifesting like the hope and fears? And is this someone he just needs to confide in because Naomi's not here for him to talk to?
Oh, it's like his imaginary friend.
Yeah.
You're getting our shows confused, Carrie.
Right, another
You're getting our shows confused. We have another after
Synchronicity.
show with this type of issue.
Yes.
You're getting our shows confused.
Who's real?
No. I mean,
No.
I'm convinced that the ring has something to do with.
Sure.
And it's kind of
Yeah.
it's like a warning. It's just like a warning, or it's just like
Yeah.
eventually maybe the more Miller is able to show up, the more
Yeah.
coherent he'll become.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, there's
'Cause
that
they
moment, though. He pops in and Holden asks him, do you know that you're here? And Miller seems less grounded than he did earlier, but then he says, like, sometimes, and they said there were boundary conditions, and Holden's like, well, why me? And he says, you have a ship, and that they're tools.
And also, he said that they kill him. So I think it's almost like a reset because he kind of doesn't remember
Yeah.
things. But Lemon in the chat says, I think maybe Miller is the protomolecule communicating telepathically with Holden, but it's just learning. So Miller is repeating things he said in the past, which is what I said before about as far as language goes.
Sure.
And then and VC says she might be a plant to move forward with the proto bomb because her crew mate who she killed was her making a bomb. I don't know. I was confused. I was confused a little bit too.
Sure. Rick, you got something real
Well,
quick?
since we're talking about Holden and I'm talking about leaders, our own very fearless leader, Maria Menounos, has a show that drops every Friday on iTunes called Conversations with Maria Menounos. She's got like celebrity influencers on there. She interviews a lot of people. You need some advice, go listen to her. Go listen to it. You can download it free. Subscribe, and when you do, please let her know it was the Expanse after show that led you there in the comments. But every Friday on iTunes for free, Conversations with Maria Menounos. I guarantee if she was talking to us, maybe she would have some insight about the protomolecule.
She sure would. She always has great insights.
So how much were we surprised when we saw Melba laying she was doing some sort of bomb, something on the science vessel, but it gets armed and detonated, and boom. Were we surprised?
No, because
Yeah, you're like, "Is that coming yet?"
No, it's because she's
Yeah.
she's clearly trying to cause some sort of problem. Or
Yes.
Do you know who she is? Do you have any suspicions on who you think she is?
I think she's toast, right? Because her name's Melba. No, I have no
that's
friggin'
fine.
clue.
That was funny.
I have no friggin' clue, and I'm waiting to find out.
Okay.
But definitely Melba and Cohen, the camera guy, have to have a connection because they blew
It's
it
a
up,
weird coincidence.
And then he had a video
Yeah.
insinuating that he had the bomb. And that wouldn't take like 5 minutes. That would take some time to find the clips to tie them together anyway.
Oh, so you think it's like that they put the clips together of like multiple, which we have seen
Yes.
today. Actually, Jordan Peele did a video of that where
Yes,
did you
with
see
Obama.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Oh,
I need to go see it.
Yeah,
very
he does
cool.
a clip where he's saying other things, but he's just showing you how technology, like even today, you could do that and make it look like somebody else. But if you watch it, you go, most people, wait, something's off and not right about this, which Naomi does. But
Wait,
we'll get to
wait,
that.
no, that just sounds like a ripoff of bad lip reading, which is friggin' awesome.
No, it's
This
a
looks
digital
really good.
technology thing. It's really bizarre, but it's kind of that uncanny valley that if you're really watching, you're like your brain's going,
Got it.
something's not quite right.
Okay.
But
if
most
you-
people aren't really paying attention.
And if you want to believe whatever it is that's
Exactly.
false fake news,
Yeah.
like they want to believe that
Yeah.
the Belters blew up the ship.
Yes.
No one even bothered to look to see if there's any video of a bomb
Yeah.
coming from the Rossi, because I thought the Rossi didn't have any more bombs.
They check it though. Yeah, they're like, it wasn't us. So speaking of that, they react. That's the Holden video. They feel, he says he's an OPA rep, which is not a good thing for the OPA people. The Belters are like, what? And he's like, Belters, get the ring. And it shows that, yeah, we did the explosion. Broadcasted from their own ship, which they're like, shit.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? It's not even so much it looks like it's him, but it's like coming
Came from their ship.
Yeah.
And they're locked out of the controls. How much were you freaking out when you saw this moment?
Yeah,
for our
definitely.
team?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, what are you guys gonna do? Because now you're screwed.
Yeah, that was good.
Now, were you suspicious, like Amos, of seeing this footage on Holden, or what? What do you think? Cherry, how are you feeling when you saw that footage?
I can understand how, in the moment, Alex and Amos, when they know what's been going on, would think he's gone crazy. But once they calm down,
Yep.
once you add up the numbers, the only strangers on the ship are Monica and Cohen.
Right?
And that's something that Holden wouldn't, that's just something Holden wouldn't do. Naomi said it. And once everyone calms down, Amos is that guy, and he is going to get whatever information he needs to out of Cohen.
Yeah.
At the same time, too, I mean, those guys, they've been through so much.
Right?
A lot of
Exactly.
crazy stuff has happened. So
Yep.
it's not, I mean, it's not out of like their realm to sit there and say, well, you know, Holden hasn't been himself. So,
Well, that's the moment, too, where Holden goes and is like, I need a moment alone, and asks Amos, whenever I ever ask you to trust me. He's like, well, never. Okay, fine. I'll give you a moment. And then Amos
like
destroys
1 minute.
the
He's
camera.
like, give me
Yes.
1 minute. I just love to see him be like, yeah, 59,
He's like,
58.
that would be Amos. He's like, and you're done. Ashford over on the Behemoth is like, well, we need to fire on the Rocinante to show we are not with him. And Drummer says, agrees. Oh, because she talks to the UN real quick, and they totally suspect the Belters is doing it for sure. And yep, they get the minute and they fire, but there's a grid override, so nothing happens right away. Whoops.
Which that part's kind of lackluster. I mean, there's a little too convenient. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, nothing.
I think in the book, the whole ship kind of breaks down at that moment because remember they've retrofitted it, so they haven't tested everything out yet.
Gotcha.
Because they just hurry up
like a
and get
fuse-
going.
yeah, right.
Yeah, and so it's like,
It's jury-rigged.
whoops. But they kind of build it up a little bit bigger instead of convenient the
Right.
way it did in the show. But they still handled it well.
I mean, they just tap things
Yeah.
on, and that doesn't always work.
Yeah. So yeah, they can't reach the Rosie. They're like, get Naomi away from the deck. And then yeah, Amos is like snake eyes when he's suspicious of our gentleman.
Yeah, there you go, Albert Epstein. Like I saw the.
I am alien. When Amos finds a thing the camera guy planted, he says to himself, snake eyes.
We get the crazy moment. How many of you notice there is proto-molecule on the Rocinante?
Yes.
We see the bottom of the ship and there's glowy blue stuff. That's one of those like, oh, ship.
And it's growing, because before it was just one little piece, I thought, when a couple of episodes ago they showed like one piece.
It's still
And I
small-ish.
think it's grow. I think they grow, though. Or they
So
multiply.
is it growing? Leave comments. Did you think it looked bigger than last time? I don't know. I was like, oh no, it's still there. I did remember it from another one, but it's like, oh yeah, you forget about it. And then you're like,
But that's one thing about the protomolecule, right? It spreads.
yeah, it
So
does.
like maybe like not. Maybe it
And the
spreads.
question is, how do you remove it?
Yeah, maybe it spreads faster with like organic. You know, like hence.
They said it
as,
came from ships.
versus
Yep.
on the ship, which is
Yep.
not organic. So. But that's why we see like a slow spread of it getting
Yes.
bigger, as opposed
That's
to
good.
like why it just didn't affect the whole ship immediately.
Yeah. Then we get Holden, and he's like, I need the moment. And he gets the moment with Miller, and he's like, I need information. Now, the question is, when they said this line, leave comments down below. Did you know what he was talking about when he's like, when you go into the room too fast, the room eats you? Were you just like, that's more gibberish? Or were you thinking, what else can you go into that would eat you if you went in too fast? You're like, nope, wasn't thinking that. Cherry, were you thinking it was the ring he was talking about?
No, I had no idea. I was like, I don't remember him ever saying that in any of the other
It's
episodes.
because the problem is that he's been talking such gibberish
Right.
throughout the episode. It's hard to like really decipher that in that moment. So
It's so bizarre. I think the only way that it really indicates the ring is the emphasis of not going too fast, because the belter, the rock hopper kid, went in so fast that
Right.
literally it stopped him, and the rest of him didn't stop.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, whoops. Also,
Ooh.
oh, good one, chat.
Albert Kwai says the room is the ring.
A lot of you are probably watching this on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening to this or want to do it as a podcast, or know people who like podcasts, tell them to go that's YouTube. Go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Leave us 5 stars, because 1 through 4 don't really work. And let us know comments on what you think on the show, what other topics you'd want us to cover. We do have more special guests coming in the future, so leave comments on that, of like what kind of comments or questions we should ask our guests.
and we give you guys a big old shout out for doing it, just like we do for people that are in the
Yeah.
chat right now. So
Hey, chatters.
Okay, then we get the reveal. Holden is like, no, we gotta go in the ring. Who was worried? I was worried. I knew they were going there, but I was worried. Were you worried about them going in the ring?
I just thought how. I was like, how are you gonna do this
Yeah.
without ending up like the other guy, a bloody mess? So yeah, that was like the only thing. I was just like, how, dude?
Yeah.
It was interesting because at the very beginning of the episode, when the religious people
Yeah.
were all meeting, they did say that there was some sort of not atmosphere, but gravity that they mentioned a little bit, but I didn't really understand because I'm not a scientist. But it was really cool the way they mentioned it, and then when you saw at the very end,
Yeah.
with the gravity holding them almost static, like maybe
Yeah.
through molasses, like they were going so slow.
It's because we understand. It's not so much that you're a scientist. It's just because we understand gravity to be different in terms of what we were
Earth
visually
up and down.
watching. Yeah, versus what we were watching. Had nothing to do with. You didn't have to be a scientist. It's just
it's like-
we understand it differently.
I feel Ender's Game was the first one where they kind of breached the idea, for me as a reader, of up, down, left, right doesn't matter in outer space because there is no gravity the same way as Earth.
And it was an awful
And
movie.
the books.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Awful
yes.
movie.
Um,
I've always heard fantastic book,
Yeah.
awful movie.
I'm liking the visual of the ring now, like how it's quote unquote activated. That it kind of looks like a glossy pond mirror something before, instead of just looking plain.
It reminds you just a little bit of Stargate, just a little bit.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting because then you're like, is this a gate to go in, go out? As like Alex was worried about, like, are we
Is it
gonna
a
start
wormhole?
seeing
Yeah,
stuff?
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's an outing. I think whoever it is that's controlling the protomolecule and the hybrids
Are gonna come out.
are coming. But I almost wonder if maybe there's 2 different aliens creatures.
okay.
And there's one that doesn't dislike humans. They're like kind of indifferent, like the way we treat dogs. And then there's one that wants to overtake us and kill us. And they're kind of warning us, but in an abstract-y sort of way, because they're like, are they sentient beings or not?
Yeah. They do the slowdown, the massive deceleration to flip and burn, and I love the moment though when Holden looks over at Amos, because Amos is like, why? And he says, because Miller told me. It's like, thank you for the honesty, which Amos appreciates, because he's like, all right, do it, Alex. There's no hesitation. But I feel Amos is like that kind of guy. He's like, if you're straight with him, say what you mean. It could be the craziest thing in the world, because Holden's like, well, that's the only way out. And Amos is like, sure, sounds good, Captain.
Well, I mean,
Instead of
'cause-
like
yeah.
lying or being, hiding behind it.
I mean, yeah, like we know this from Naomi.
Yeah.
Number one, in terms of like, don't lie.
Yep.
And then the other part of it is, I mean, how crazier can things get if this like weird protomolecule?
Right.
If you've seen face to face like
Yes.
a protomolecule monster a bunch of different times, then sure, I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's just go with it.
Then everyone is pretty much watching the Rosie go in, and they're all like, what is it? What are they doing? I was a little concerned of like just watching them when they're about to be passing out and everything. You're like, oh no! I mean, it's all fake and everything, but it's still like
Sure,
watching
no,
your
of
people in
course.
distress.
We
And
know
then
what's gonna happen.
And then Holden wakes up and sees the missile close, but it's not moving, but it still has like the energy tail, and you're just, oh boy. But they're safe for now. Any other thoughts on the episode before we do some predictions?
I thought it was hilarious how the religious leaders and the senior powers that be were eating on China. They were having steak and wine.
You're like,
and then when
fine
you
dining.
saw everyone else, like the staff, they're eating like slop, but they didn't say
Yeah.
anything because slop.
She's listed on IMDb, but the woman Anna's talking to is called Tilly, who's gonna hopefully will come in a bit more. She's kind of a fun drunkard character, the way she was there, of like, these people, my church, and donate
was
money,
funny.
and she's very saucy, which is fun to have around the other stuffy characters. And also Anna's much more reserved, so I think it'd be fun for her to have somebody that's a little more flamboyant and outspoken. But any other thoughts on the episode?
No, I just like the new turn of story. I was getting a little tired,
Sure.
of the proto molecule, blah 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 blah. Like I like this whole new okay, now there's like a new thing that we have to deal with.
New task.
So yeah, and I like the direction that it's going to, where it's gonna. I feel like it's definitely gonna build to the season finale. Luckily, not series.
Yeah. Hello, Amazon Prime for next season. Any other comments in the chat before we get to predictions?
People are asking how the show's going to be really blah, blah, so we won't talk about that. Kin from Chicago. Excessive secrets and lies are a bane of the Arrowverse. We're not talking about Arrow. Why are you doing that?
Ken from
I am
Chicago, just send me
alien.
some Lou Malnati's.
I Am Alien says, I just want to say we've never seen that proto monster attack someone without being provoked. I'm not sure about I've ever actually seen it kill anyone. I mean, they've killed.
Because it
more
goes
defense.
towards energy to feed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we know. Like it's so.
Well, it can kill but not know it, the way like Katoa broke a person down of like, I'm studying it, and the Arbogast was also broken down, the people inside are broken down, which the show that they're still compared.
Yeah.
But still, they're in outer space. They died. But I think because the protomolecule doesn't understand yet how humans live, breathe, survive.
It's a curiosity kill, not
Yeah.
a.
It's like a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't get it. All right, let's do some quick predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Cherry, you look very excited. What are some of your predictions?
I'm thinking that Pastor Anna is going to kind of follow Melba around enough where Melba finds her threatening and might do something to her. And then I think that with the leadership of Naomi, and I think the relationship between Naomi and Drummer is going to change after she fired on her boyfriend and all her friends on the Rossi. I think that's going to sort of break them away, and then she'll sort of veer more towards Ashford, who will influence her in a negative way.
Rick, any predictions?
I think now that they've kind of gone through this ring thing or whatever and actually listened to Miller, we'll see more of Miller making sense.
More sense, yeah.
Because it's actually like kind of like one with the ring
Sure.
or my precious. And then I think that we're gonna get more to the bottom of who and what Cohen really is in terms of like what his
Motivation?
his agenda
Yeah,
and everything.
for
Like
sure.
Amos is gonna
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
doing his thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't comment because I'm like, don't want to get ahead. But Cherry, as you pointed out, the interaction with Anna and Melba was a little more heightened in the book, and I wonder if they'll have that a little bit later because, in Melba's position of you killed somebody, you're going to be suspect of anybody who's really trying to reach out to you because you're like, do they know? Can they tell? Like when you've done something wrong, you're just thinking everybody can read it on my face. So I'm like, oh, are they going to
Right.
get more into that?
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps us up. Thank you. Oh, yes, we got more.
We have two
Yes.
from the chat. Douglas says they have to find the protomolecule on the Rosie at some point.
Yes.
No time like the Nets episode. Ken
Yep.
from
That's a good one.
Chicago. The captain apologized for shooting at Naomi's boyfriend. My bad. And the Navy. As I stated before, they are near the gravity well of the ring, not in the ring. So your perception of the stars bending is the relativistic view of your position.
I am curious to see more what it's like within the ring because it is described very specifically in the book. So I'll be curious how much more we'll see, because we only got to see that last little bit where Holden's looking, but I think we'll see more of it, because obviously they're alive, at least for now. Thank you so much for joining us in the live chat, and if you couldn't watch it live, no worries whatsoever. Please comment down below your thoughts on the episode, and thanks for all your details on the show, the book. It's great because we're all super fans just like you. Where can people find out more about you guys?
Hey, you can find me Sherry_LA on Twitter and Instagram.
And Sherry, you got something to say, right, about next week?
Next week we have one guest, Steven Strait. Yay!
So we're gonna have Steven Strait visiting us via Skype, the magic of technology. So make sure to tune in. And also down the way, we're gonna have some other special guests, which you'll just have to tune in to find about those.
Or we might be manipulating that he's going to be here via Skype. And you guys can find me on all social media at Rick Hong, RECKHUNG. And I'm on next for Netflix picks. So if you want to know what's to find and what's to watch on Netflix, click in a few minutes.
Nice. And my name is Kari Lane. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. All right, we'll see y'all next
Love
week.
ya.
Bye.
Kisses.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.